disrupt, adapt, repeat. You're listening to Pure Reinvention, the podcast for curious people.
Welcome to Pure Reinvention, the community and space where curious leaders get a chance to explore and learn and talk to others about how we move our different businesses forward. A great space, Misty, to be a part of. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I think it is. I enjoy these conversations and the interviews.
We had an opportunity to talk to Lacey Thompson. Lacey is one of the key employees for the Home Builders Association of Greater Lansing. And what is really interesting about Lacey's perspective is she would be that 30-something individual who brings a brand new perspective to the association world.
Listening to her interview is a perfect example of Millennials. She speaks the Millennial language, she's connected, and she understands it. But I think that we'll hear in the interview, she is able to translate it to the greater HBA membership and the different generations that it represents.
And the reason this is so meaningful is that many of us who are of the boomer generation who will be retiring out in the next 10 years or so will be replaced in leadership roles with this group of people who think differently, who are exposed to things differently, who are raised differently, and who will drive the next growth phase for associations and for-profit businesses alike.
I agree, and I have to admit at first when I realized we did another interview with a HBA Greater Lansing person, it was kind of like, uh-oh, is this too much? Is this oversaturation? But I get it. They have a lot of interesting things to share, and Lacey tells a great story of what the Millennials are bringing to that organization. And since we've also heard from her executive director, Cindy is embracing that, and we'll hear that in her stories that she's interviewed.
This is our future, so let's listen. We're here with Lacey Thompson, Events Manager for the Home Builders Association of Greater Lansing. Welcome to Pure Reinvention, Lacey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I've been very lucky, Lacey, to have had a chance to talk to you on numerous occasions, and one of the things that really struck me and why we wanted to add you into this podcast was you are the generation of individuals where associations need to attract in new membership. And it's become very evident to me that a lot of associations really struggle with how to attract in what we would call the millennial generation. Can you spend a few minutes, Lacey, and talk about not only your role as the events manager and how you're beginning to use your experience to help reshape the programs at the association, but more importantly, how do millennials kind of look at the role associations need to play? I know that's a big question, so let's talk about the second one. How do millennials look at associations right now?
I think the biggest thing is for us to, changing the old habits, changing things up as far as, my generation has never owned a phone book or, we joke a lot about how, there's no Saturday morning cartoons anymore. I mean, the internet has just always been around for us. I mean, if I need something, then that's where I go, is I go to the internet. So just trying to get members to break out of their comfort zone and using social media is a big factor in that, posting events and things like that, and trying to live off of technology more.
I think that's a really interesting conversation because for a lot of us who've been in the association world for a long time, technology is new.
Yeah.
But for you, technology has been around forever.
Yeah, it's been around forever. I mean, like phone books or phone booths and stuff like that, like pay phones, I have no idea, like how much do they cost? Are they still around?
Right, so for associations to control information, like we used to do, when you're used to getting information for free through the technology that's now available.
Right.
What becomes special to millennials if they can have everything at any time? How do you start to find ways to bring the millennial generation into the network of the associations?
I think that we are, there's a lot of things that we're doing that's different as far as maybe like offering more online classes and stuff like that for our members. Instead of having our members come all the time and into meetings, offering classes that they can take online because some of my younger generation, they may not want to come to a meeting where there's a group of gentlemen that are in their 60s, 50s, 70s. They might feel uncomfortable. So offering more online classes for the younger and for the older generation as well, to get people, coming in and taking those classes, and then eventually maybe when they take the classes, then they can break out and maybe then feel more comfortable and start coming to membership meetings and stuff. But I think building people to let them know that, hey, we have these classes that are available, hey, let's start taking these classes online, and then maybe they'll start coming to attend more meetings and things like that too.
I think that's a really interesting thought, because if that becomes the vehicle that the new member or the potential new member starts to get comfortable with the association, then you believe there's an opportunity then to do other next step things.
Right.
Do you think that some of those next step things might include networking events?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's I think a thought that your generation, the millennial generation, does not like to network.
Right.
But I'm of the opinion that you like to network, but perhaps you use different tools in which to network.
Yeah, I mean, we have our monthly membership meetings, and I've noticed that there's a lot more of the younger crowd, the Millennials, I guess is what we're called,
Sure.
That are attending more. And I see that breaking out. I see more of my generation because I post a lot on social media. I mean, we have a Facebook account, and we're posting, and I see a lot of the younger generation that is taking advantage of that, and hey, sign me up for that class that's coming up, or hey, I'm going to come to that meeting, and so they're using social media sites more than getting on a website and printing off a form and then faxing it in.
Right.
I think that's key.
Right. So it sounds like millennials want to be connected.
Yeah.
And are actually aggressively
Yeah.
connecting, but maybe connecting in different ways than what.
Yeah.
Can you explain that
Yeah.
connection? Because that seems very important.
I think that they are for sure connecting. I see it a lot more with the monthly membership meetings and stuff like that, with the members that are attending and the younger crowd. And I think that once they come in and then they feel welcome and are there, then I see them keep coming back and to the next meetings and things like that.
No, I think that's a great point. So your point with all of these activities that you're doing, to make sure I understand kind of the thought process behind it, if we can connect with them through social media, if we can connect with them through online education, if we can connect with them the way they like to connect,
Yeah.
we have a good opportunity to pull them into other events that we are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what kind of other events then do you think that new members are attracted to once they kind of get used to doing business with the association?
I think educational events. If you have any kind of CPR class trainings or, truck regulations and things like that, I think education is a key event. But really like our monthly membership meetings where they have the networking, where they can come in and talk. Because maybe they've been connecting with that person online or with Facebook or email back and
interesting.
forth.
Yeah.
But then they actually
Get a
get
chance
the
to meet 'em
chance to meet them
face-to-face.
face to face and then make that connection in person. So.
I find it fascinating as I listen to you to think about how millennials view education.
Yeah.
If your generation was raised with open access to information, in other words, the internet has always
Right.
been a tool that you've been able to use, you're used to looking for, finding, and digesting information.
Yeah.
So it's a very logical thing for your generation to look for that from the association. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And it would be just the only difference is the association has done more of the sorting.
Right.
So now your generation gets industry-specific
Yeah.
content from, as opposed to going to the internet
Yeah.
and having to sort through all the clutter and chatter.
Right. If you don't know how to do something, you YouTube it. And that tells you exactly step-by-step procedure on how to do something.
So is a part of the strategy within your association to build these channels of YouTube and social
Absolutely.
media and online education.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're teaching me a lot right
Right.
here.
We started something a couple months back called Information Minute. Every Monday morning, Cindy and I video Cindy, and we
Who is
upload.
who is the CEO?
Yeah, yep, she's our EO here, and we just talk about. It's a minute long. That's it. Because people don't have time. We don't have time. Everyone's busy on the go. So it's a minute long, and I video her, and she just tells everybody, all of our members, what's going on for that week. So what's coming up this week? Here's the morning minute news type thing, and it's just a minute long, and I video her. We upload it to YouTube, and then we send that out to our membership. Like, hey, check this video out, because people get so bombarded with emails a lot of time. So if they see it come through, but it's a link. You know what? They're not going to read it all. They're not going to sit there and read through it. I mean, that takes too much time. Who reads things a lot of times now? So they just click on the video and they watch it. It's a minute long and tells them what's going on this week.
Now, I've seen it because
Yeah.
I'm connected to you on Facebook.
Okay.
But if you're a member, let me make sure I understand this. If
Yeah.
you're a member, the member gets an email,
Yes.
and it's the exact same thing. It's
Yep,
just to open it up and watch
we
Cindy
plug
talk
it.
about
Yep,
something.
we plug it on our Facebook page too. So that's where you saw it, is that we post it on Facebook, and then we also send a blast email out to our membership so that they can see that as well.
Now, how do you then use that tool, right? So now it's capturing content,
Right.
video content,
Right.
face-to-face. Do you need to have professional videographers and this
No.
whole production studio to do this?
I'm it. You're looking at it.
So
There's
it's
nothing.
you
A cell
and
phone. Cell phone.
some sort of a high-end cell
Yep,
phone,
smartphone, yep.
smartphone of some
Yep.
sort. Is the quality
video it,
is
yep.
good enough to?
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of feedback do you get from your members?
Oh my
when
gosh, they
talk-
love it. Every time I see
Why?
them, they love it, because we don't just sit at a desk and we're boring about it. I think the video that we did last week, we have a lug nuts game that's coming up, and then we have a golf outing that's coming up. So we're plugging both those events, and so
through
the video. Yeah.
Wow.
So Cindy, I pitched her a softball. She had my son's t-ball bat. I pitched her a softball, and she sat there and she talked about the lug nuts game, and hey, did you guys register? Did you get signed up for the lug nuts game? It's going to be a great event. And then I pitched her the ball, and she was supposed to hit it, but she swung and missed.
Missed it.
And then she put the bat down, and then she picked up her club, and she started talking about our golf outing and plugged that, and then she hit, and so then we posted that on YouTube, and people were just commenting crazy. All of our members are sending me emails because I'm the one that blasts the email out, and this is the best one yet, this is great, oh my gosh, or you know what, I totally forgot about the golf outing, thanks for showing us this video, yeah, do you still have a spot, I'd like to sign up my foursome, and things like that, so.
What a wonderful tool
Yeah.
to be able to connect people.
Yeah.
And if it is, now some of us will still read emails or
Right.
still click on a link. So it sounds like what you're saying is a business has to learn to do all of those things.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
there's so many different segments that you have to connect to.
Yeah.
That you can't just use one
Exactly.
way.
Yeah, and we still send out our toolbox, which is our monthly publication. Then it's an e-newsletter that we send out, and then we create it in Constant Contact. And so we send that out every month, just once a month, and it's got tons of information about everything
Sure.
that we have coming up. But this is just something that we do once a week. It's every Monday. It's in the morning, and it's a minute long, and that's it.
How do you see the association doing more of that, more application of that kind of video, seeing the personalization of the executive or the personalization of the business? Do you see that you'll do more of that in the future?
Yeah, I think it's a great tool to have. I mean, as far as maybe expanding a little bit more, like maybe with our parade of homes, plugging an event as you're walking
Sure.
up the steps to go into the parade of homes, doing something like that. But maybe tying it in with some of your events, I think would be a great tool to use.
So you take your core attractions.
Right.
For you, it would be the parade of homes and some of the other things that
Home
you're doing.
shows,
Yep.
and-
You take your core attractions; those don't change.
Right.
You just find different ways to connect people
Yeah.
to them.
Yep. Yeah.
And so over time, you'll likely do less
Right.
of what you had been doing,
Right.
And more of this more video-based,
Yeah.
or I guess what I'm hearing is it's very personal.
Yeah.
That Cindy is connecting with each person
Right.
who's
Right.
watching that.
Right.
And it seems like she's talking right to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that the intent?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so people respond
Yeah.
to you talking to me.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Not you
it's great.
talking to
They love
1,000
it.
members.
Yeah. It's putting a face and a name together, and, it's more personal. It's not just sending an email with smiley faces and things
How
like that.
important is that personal touch to
It's
the
key.
membership base
It's
of
key.
the future?
It's key. We do a lot of different things with our members. I mean, I know you just learn. You talk to your members. You interact one-on-one with them, and you talk to them. You find out stuff. You find out they have kids. Then you bond with them about that, and you eventually you learn their kids' names, and you know that they're in T-ball. Well, hey, you find a common, you learn from them. We do different things like, when they sign up to be a member, we get their date of birth, so we find out when their birthday is. And then Cindy and I actually say happy birthday. We have it on our calendar, which when our members have a birthday, we have it on our calendar. Oh, it's so-and-so's birthday today. I go in her office, we put it on speakerphone, and we sing happy birthday to them, and they love that, It's just, hope you have a great day. A lot of times we'll get their voicemail message or things like that, but if they pick up, hey, we just wanted to call and tell you that, we hope you have a great day. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for remembering. That's awesome. And then have a good day. Okay. And that's it. It's real quick, and that's it.
Now, what's amazing to me is in an association which has the ability to connect directly like that, like what yours is right now. Now, you would also agree if you had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of members, that might be a little difficult.
Yeah. They might get the Facebook message.
but my guess is you would search for ways where you could find a personal touch for everybody.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, as I'm listening to
Yeah.
you, that becomes the key. Is I'm not sure what tool I'm going to use,
Right.
but I do know I've got to figure out a way to kind of connect with you one-on-one.
Yeah.
Is that a fair
Yeah, absolutely.
statement?
Yeah.
And that becomes the real key to how members or future potential members are attracted to your business,
Right.
because they know you.
Yeah.
They know why you're doing what
Yes.
you're doing, and they like that.
Yes, we had a member that was about to lapse, and she was hemming and hawing, and she'd been a member for a long, long time, and she finally was like, "No way, I couldn't do that to the association, but to you and Cindy." And so then that made Cindy and I realize, oh my gosh, she was going to lapse. Let's try and figure out how we can get her more involved in the association, but she didn't lapse because of the relationship that we created with her.
What I liked about what you just said was we saw a situation and we recognized there might be a lot of people in that same
Right.
situation, and the business, in this case,
Right.
you and the Cindy, put your heads together
Right.
to say, how can we solve this right
Right.
away?
Yeah.
And now, to me, that's one of the keys to working with the millennial generation as well, is if we see the pattern, we want to do something about
One
it.
step ahead of it.
Is that fair? We don't
Yeah.
want to wait and keep
Right.
dealing with the same thing
Exactly.
over and over and over.
Because like you said, if she's feeling that way, then how many other
yeah.
people are feeling like that too? So it's, recruiting new members, but then also working on retention, keeping, how are ways that you're going to keep some of them members, active and continue renewing their dues every year.
Do you have a trick for how you renew members?
No, well, we have a membership committee that Cindy works with, and so I'm pretty sure they are, set up with, maybe they have 20 members that they have to contact.
But more of that direct connection, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. But we have toyed around with ideas, and we've yet to do this, but I think it would be great to just pick, in the summertime, or spring, summertime, pick 10 members a month and just stop off at job sites and do different things like that, saying, hey, how's it going? And we said, okay, we have to get coolers or something and put popsicles in them and just stop off at a job site. Hey, thank you for your membership, and here's a popsicle. Or in the fall, do something with apple cider and, things like that. So we're toying around with doing things like that just to let them know that we appreciate them. And, but again, finding the time, and there's just the two of us in the association. And so we have a smaller association, so I think it's doable to do that. But yeah, it's just finding the time.
I think it's a fabulous and intriguing concept that you're talking about, which is how do we create that personal connection
Right.
with every person, whether you have 5 members or 5,000 members or 5 million members.
Right.
It would seem like technology today allows you to figure that out
Right.
if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all generations respond to that, but particularly
Yeah.
your generation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
This has been Lacey Thompson. Lacey, you've done a fabulous job for us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just really loved how Lacey simplified the message, which is how important it is for associations and businesses to connect.
Simplify and connect are two great takeaways that were throughout this interview, and Lacey gets it, and clearly Cindy gets it too because she's willing to play along. That information minute is positively brilliant, and the fact that they couple that still with their longer, more informative monthly, I think it was toolbox emails they called them, that makes sense because that is connecting different mediums and different methods of communication with different generations.
So here's what's interesting that I learned from Lacey in that businesses and associations in general have capitalized off of information, and most of it being written. And as I listened to Lacey, there was a couple of very profound things that went counter to what our business model of the past has been, which is, one, information is everywhere, so you can't capture information because I can Google it. I have 24/7 access to all information. I think Lacey said if I want to know something, I YouTube it. The other thing that was very interesting, and I know this is going to be difficult for you, Misty, because you're an accomplished writer, is she said, who has time to read it?
I know. I sighed because I'm a millennial too, and I do agree with her. But as a journalist by training, it hurts me to hear when someone says, "Oh, who has time to read anymore?"
But if this is what our future membership and our future employee base and our future is, then I think what Lacey has taught us about making sure that we make it short and to the point, and that it's connecting, right? You can listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm not sure you can get any more out of them than what Lacey taught us about our customers.
Truly, and she also taught me it doesn't have to be fancy.
No.
Sometimes you think, well, okay, if I'm going to put together this video, I need to hire an outside company or at least get a nice camera with bells and whistles. But they're conveying really great information in a new way with her smartphone.
You know, what's interesting, Misty, is a number of years ago when I was a young salesman first going out and learning the trade, that was the first thing that I had to learn. And it was a difficult task for me, but it was the number one key to success, which is creating that personal connection with your customer.
Right. And what they're doing with those information minutes and some of the other things that Lacey shared with us is connecting with their members. They're personalizing everything that they do.
I think we've had a habit in the past, all businesses, of fire hosing information, hoping something sticks. And what Lacey taught us was one at a time, make a connection, build upon that, and you will move mountains.
Yeah, I want to go back to something she said in the beginning of her interview, was that sometimes yet the younger generations are a little more uncomfortable in meetings with the older generations. And I've been there. I completely agree. It's a little intimidating to speak up because you're not confident that your ideas are going to be well received, or maybe they're not as thought out. Then there's a common thing where millennials feel like, well, if these are the older fearless leaders, they've been there and done that. They're not going to hear anything
Right.
from me. I would encourage millennials to take that risk and take that chance to share because their ideas are worthy. And also, they are using social media to buffer those face-to-face meetings.
I thought that was really interesting, and I'm a very big proponent of this connecting thing, and I always think about networking and connecting being face to face. But yet Lacey said, for many of these people, our networking events is maybe the third or fourth tier of their connection, because maybe they met on Facebook, maybe they've been texting each other, maybe they've been sharing information, but have never really met face to face. So all of a sudden, the face to face connection is the third or fourth phase of our connectivity.
She broke it down in a way that I had never truly articulated, but she did it well. We are using those social media, we being millennials, are using those social media networks to create the conversation and open the door. Then we're way more comfortable in that meeting, in that face-to-face stuff. I've often replied to or made mention of a Facebook post or a LinkedIn comment that I've seen in the face-to-face meeting. It just is more space for conversation, and you can build upon it.
If anyone doubts whether this is really true or not, just think about the number of text messages you get from your employees, from your customers,
true.
and your family today compared to only a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's here.
It's here. And I think Lacey is living what Cindy told us in her interview, that it's okay to stay steady, but don't be afraid to kind of explore within being a steady constant. They're still being steady with their information and their deliverables and reaching their members, but they're trying new things.
What an exciting time we're in, Misty.
How cool and good for them. Hey, if you're ready to make a change, make it a change that lasts. Make it pure reinvention.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pure Reinvention. Keep the conversation going and get alerts when new podcasts are up by following us on Twitter at Pure Reinvention or sign up for our mailing list at purereinvention.com.